Hello everyone and welcome to part 10 of the SDL 2.0 tutorial series. In this video I want to show you how you can use the SDL mixer to play audio. And for that we will need the SDL mixer library. So if you if you search for SDL2 mixer, it should be the first link on Google. And over here we will need the development libraries as usual. So once you have that downloaded and extracted, I have it extracted in the C directory. And then we can get started on our project properties once again. So if we go to properties and C++ directories, we will edit and then go to C, SDL2 mixer and include. So this is our include directory. Next up is our library files, and these are the x86 one, just like we did with the image and the TrueType font. So mixer, library, x86, select folder. And the final thing that we need to do is for the input, we need to add SDL2 underscore mixer dot library. So SDL2 underscore mixer dot library, then OK, and apply. And this should be it for our properties. So the first thing that we're going to do is to load our audio, and for that we will use our AssetManager that we created before. So in our AssetManager we will add, so we will include SDL underscore mixer.h, and we will create a couple of new maps. One of them will be std map, and we'll take a key of a string, so string. And the value of that will be mix underscore music pointer. So mix underscore music pointer, and we will call this map mmusic. So this map will hold all the music files that we're going to be loading. And next up is a map for the sound effects. So std map std string, and the value will be our mix chunk. So mix underscore chunk pointer, and we will call this one msfx. So this will be our sound effects. Next up we will create a couple of functions. First one being get music, and the other one will be get sfx. So the same idea as texture and text. So the return value for this will be a mix underscore music pointer, and this will be called get music, and it will take an std string, which will be a file name as a parameter. Next up is the chunk, so mix underscore chunk pointer get sfx, and this will take an std string file name as well. So these are the two functions that we're going to be using, and so let's go to our CPP and implement them. So now we will go down here and add mix underscore music pointer AssetManager get music, and this will take an std string file name. In this, we'll do the same thing that we did here. We need the full path for the file. So we will create a string, so std string full path is going to be equal to SDL underscore get base path. So get base path. And then full path will append, so dot append our assets slash our file name. Now we need to check if we already loaded this file before or not. So if mmusic at our full path is equal to a null pointer, so equal to a null pointer, then we need to load this file. So we will do mmusic at full path is going to be equal to mix underscore load music, so mus, and this will take our full path. So full path dot c underscore string. Now we just need to print something out if the loading didn't work correctly. So we'll do if mmusic add the full path is equal to null still, then printf music loading error, and the file will be here as well as the error itself. So dash that, and the two parameters will be the file name dot c underscore string, and the error will be mix underscore get error. So this is the same idea that we used for everything else really. And finally, the only thing that's left to do is just return our mmusic at the full path. So this is it for our getMusic function. Next up is our getSoundEffect function. So mix underscore chunk pointer AssetManager get sfx. This will take an std string file name, and we will do the exact same thing. So std full path, or std string full path is going to be equal to SDL underscore get base path full path dot append asset slash plus file name. And then we'll say that if the sfx, so if m sfx at the full path is equal to a null pointer, then we'll say that our sfx, msfx is going at the full path is going to be equal to mix underscore load wave, so WAV, and we'll pass it our full path dot c underscore string. Now we just need to do error handling as well for this one. So if we don't find a file, so f m sfx at the full path is still equal to null, then printf sfx loading error with the file %s. Oh, maybe I should make this a bit bigger. There we go. Yeah, sorry if you missed anything with the smaller font, but all we did is we have the two maps here, these two functions here, and yeah, this is the getMusic function. So next up is, oh, we missed the error, so error dash and a string, and we'll pass this one file name dot c underscore string as well as our error. So this will be mix underscore get error. Finally, we return m sfx at full path, and this should be it for loading our assets. Now we can move on to creating our AudioManager itself, and the AudioManager will be using these two functions to play our music and sound effects. So for the AudioManager, we will need to create a new header file. We'll call this one AudioManager, and then if not defined, underscore AudioManager underscore h define underscore AudioManager underscore h, and then end f class AudioManager. In the AudioManager, we will need the AssetManager, so we will need to include that. And this class will be a singleton, just like all our all our other managers. So private, we will do our usual singleton setup. So static AudioManager pointer as instance, and we will need a non-static AssetManager. So AssetManager pointer AssetManager, and then public, we will create our static functions. So static AudioManager pointer instance and static void release. Finally, we'll need a few functions to play sounds, pause music, and resume it. So void play music, and this will take two parameters. The first one being our file name, so std string file name, and the other one will be int loops, and this will have a default value of -1. This just means that if it's -1, that means it's going to keep looping without stop. If we set it to 0, then the music will only play once, and so on. Then void pause music, and avoid resume music. Now for our sfx function, we will do avoid play sfx. This will take an std string file name and int loops, just like the play music function, which will be set as 0 by default, because usually sound effects only play once, so we'll have it at 0 by default. And finally, int channel, and our channel will be equal to 0 by default. So this is which channel you want to play the music on. Next up is are the private functions. So private, these will only be our constructor and destructor. So AudioManager and AudioManager. So this is it for our .h file. Now we can move on to creating our .cpp. So add new item, cpp AudioManager, and then we will include our AudioManager.h as well as initialize our static. So AudioManager pointer AudioManager as instance is going to start off being null. Now to implement our static functions, we will do our AudioManager pointer AudioManager instance. If sinstance is equal to null, then sinstance is going to be equal to a new AudioManager, and then return sinstance. Next up is our release. So for release, what we'll do is just delete the instance and set it to null. So void AudioManager release, delete sinstance, and sinstance is equal to null. Now moving on to our constructor, and this is where things are a bit different. Because for our AudioManager, its constructor will be initializing our audio. So AudioManager. The first thing we're going to do is get the instance of the AssetManager. So AssetManager is going to be equal to AssetManager instance. And next up will be our initialization of the audio library. For that, we will do if mix underscore open audio, and this will be passed in 44100. So this is our frequency. Usually 44.1 kilohertz is the standard. And next up is mix underscore default format to and 4096 for the chunk size. And if all of this is less than 0, then an error occurred and we need to output it. So printf mixer initialization error, and we need to output this error, so we pass it the mix underscore get error. So this should be it for our constructor. For our destructor, we're going to be releasing closing the audio library. So AudioManager destructor, we will say that the AssetManager is going to be equal to null, and our mix underscore quit function is going to be called. Okay, so this is it for our constructor and destructor, so we can move on to doing our music playing functions. First one being, we have here play music. So void AudioManager play music. This one takes an std string file name and int loops. What we'll do is say mix underscore play music, and this will take now pause play music, and as you can see, this one takes a mix music pointer, and we will use the functions that we created in our AssetManager for that. So we'll say AssetManager get music, and we'll pass it our file name. Now what's left are the loops, so we'll pass it in the loops as well. And this should be it for our play music. Next up is pause music, so void AudioManager pause music. And what this will do is, if the mix underscore playing music is not equal to 0, then we want to pause. So what we'll do is say mix underscore pause music, and this should be it for this function. Next up is going to be the resume music, so void AudioManager resume music, and this one will check if the music is paused or not. So if mix underscore music paused, or paused music is not equal to 0, then what we'll do is resume it. So mix underscore resume music. And that takes care of all our music playing, pausing, and resuming. Next up is the sound effect. So void AudioManager play SFX, and this one takes an std string file name, int loops, and an int channel. And then we'll do the same thing that we did here, but instead of play music, we will say play channel. So mix underscore play channel, and give it our channel as well as the chunk. So the chunk we're going to get using our get SFX. So AssetManager get SFX, and we'll pass it our file name. Finally, we will pass it in loops, and this should be it for our AudioManager class. Now we can go ahead and test it. The last thing that we will need to do is to download the runtime binaries for the mixer. So let's open that up. There we go. And we will just have to take the DLLs that we have here into where our exe is. So let's open our exe directory, and it's right here. And then we can go ahead and copy these DLLs in there. It looks like we might need to actually download it. Okay. So SDL2 mixer, and then for the runtime binaries, save. And let's open it. There we go. And let's move all these over here. So now we have all our library DLLs that we need. We can go ahead and run this now. But the last thing that we're going to do is to go to our graphics.cpp. And if we go down to where SDL init video is, we will also tell it to initialize the audio with it. So SDL init audio. So it's just a pipe, and SDL init audio just to let it know that we're going to be playing audio as well. And that should be pretty much it. The only thing that we're going to need is to try out one of our sound effects and see if they work. Let me see if I can find one here. So I already have this one here. So assets, and I will look for a sound effect to use. There we go. So I've found it's, by the way, you can only load WAV files using SDL, so it would be pretty good to find a WAV file that you want to use. Most of the time though, using WAV files is faster than using let's say MP4s or MP3s, because you don't need to do any encoding. So I have one WAV file here, and let's create a variable in our game manager so we can play it. So include AudioManager, and in here we will create a variable for it. So AudioManager pointer AudioMGR. Now in our game manager we will go down to here and say our AudioManager. So maudio AudioManager, and on AudioMGR is going to be equal to AudioManager instance, and we will need to release it as well. For that we will go here and say AudioManager release, and AudioManager is going to be equal to null. Okay, so now that we have everything set up over here, we can use our input manager to get a key, and when, let's say, we press the number 1, we want to play our sound effect. So if input manager key down, and this will take SDL scan code 1, we want to play our sound. So we'll say AudioManager play SFX, and let's check what our audio name is. So our audio is coin_credit.wave, so we can go ahead and copy that. Now for rest, we have loops and channel. Channel 0 is fine, loop 0 is fine as well. So we can go ahead and just run it and try it out. And there we go. Now we can play our sound effects. For loops, let's say we set loops to 1, so now it should technically play twice. So, and there we go. So we have looping there. The channels, it depends on, if you try to run multiple sound effects using the same channel, they will override each other, so just keep that in mind. When you're dealing with music, so if we do play music instead, because music and sound effects are both WAV files, we can load this as a music file. And if we go ahead and run that, you'll notice that it's playing over and over again. So if I press 1, so it will just keep playing. And then we can use the AudioManager pause music and resume music to do that. So play music is usually pretty good for background music, and then you can do play SFX for your sound effects. So this should be it for this video. I really hope that this video helped. If you have any comments, suggestions, or feedback, please leave them below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.